So it all boils down to this, folks. One game to rule it all. It is Bolton Wanderers. They're here in the final up against Oxford United. Who's going to go to the Championship? Who's going to stay here in League One? We're going to get into it, and it's coming at you next. That's right, folks. What's going on in the prediction video? Today we're taking a look at the League One playoff final at Wembley. It is Bolton. It is Oxford. It's coming at you very, very soon. We'll get to it in a second. Of course, if you're new, where you been, smash your subscribe, boys and girls. Your one-stop shop for League One is here under one roofski. Of course, can Bolton return to the Championship, or will Oxford return to the second tier for the first time in a long, long time? We'll get into it, all of it in a second. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons. You know who you are. Again, if you're new, smash the old subscribe, boys and girls. We're going to get into it in just a second. Of course, big shout out to the VIPs. They are the patrons. But let's turn the clock back to those second legs in the semi-finals. Showcase you where I was thinking, where you guys were thinking, and then we're going to get into it right here, right now with that playoff final. So let's turn the clock back, of course, between Bolton against Barnsley at Bolton. I actually went with a 2-0 win for Bolton, but I was wrong. I was well wrong on this one. It was a bit of a thriller in the end, going in favour of Barnsley on the night. 3-2 final score. But that wasn't good enough. They need one more goal to drag it in extra time. But the goals coming from Cosgrove got twice. 2 goals, Phillips as well. Oxford scoring with Aaron Collins and Tull to make it 3-2. And that was enough. So they'll go into the final on the back of a defeat. Will Bolton, as will the second game. It was Peterborough against Oxford United. 3-0. I went big on this one, but unfortunately it was a well-organised Oxford United that were just well prepared for this Peterborough side. And they will be in the final after a 1-1 performance. With goals from Josh Knight for Peterborough, Cameron Brannigan from the penalty spot for Oxford. So we now know the finals. It will be Bolton, it will be Oxford, of course, but let's remind ourselves how we got to this stage. Okay, quick look at the table then, shall we? Of course, Oxford finishing in 5th, Bolton finishing in 3rd. So and a good 10 points between the two sides as we head into this one. Peterborough and Barnsley will have to do it all again with the likes of Lincoln, Stevenage, Exeter, and of course the winners and the promoted sides from League 2. We'll have a early prediction for the League One campaign after the conclusion of this final next in about a week's time. So make sure you stick around for that as well. But we are going to look now to the final, and it is Bolton, it is Oxford. But before that, a quick reveal as to who won our prediction league. Well, here we go. Drum roll, please. Well, the winner is Swindon Army with 194 points, of course, after the conclusion of the final game of the season and the 2 playoffs. Really, it cannot be caught here, guys. So we're going to announce the winner, and that is Swindon Army. 3 points clear of Rossall Frost. Of course, he could close that to 2 points, but he cannot get those 3 points. So commiserations to the rest, but well done to the best. That's Swindon Army. Of course, next season, though, the jury is out as what I'm going to do next season. I hope to be back in some capacity with League One, but the format might change a little bit, so we'll see how all that pans out over the next, as I figure things out. But we are now looking forward to that final, of course, and it is a bit of a ding-dong affair. All right, then, folks, let's take a look at the playoff final between Oxford United and Bolton Wanderers. Now, let's get in the deep end between these two sides then. They have played each other 15 times since 1993. We've got 8 wins for Bolton, 2 wins for Oxford, and there's been 3 draws between the two sides, of course. Bolton, 5-0 win their biggest, scoring 24 goals in those 15 games against Oxford, 1.60 goals a game on average. Meanwhile, Oxford, 3-1 win their biggest. Out of those 2 wins, just 11 goals scored in those 15 games, 0.73 goals a game on average. Now, the form book, of course, is in favour of Oxford here. They come into this on 67% form for them right now. Just 1 defeat in the last 6. Maybe, just maybe, mentally, they are ready for this game. They did finish 5th with 77 points for the campaign. Bolton, though, come into this on 58% form. They do come into this also on the back of that defeat against Barnsley. 3-2 loss there, and just 2 wins out of the last 6 games. 58% form for them at the moment, of course. Now, over the course of the season, it's not good news for Oxford. They, of course, have played Bolton twice, and they didn't score against them, of course. 0-0 it was at the Kazan back in November 2023. Of course, a 5-0 demolition job by Bolton at Bolton back in March this campaign. You've got to go back to October 2022 for Oxford's last victory when they picked up a 3-1 win over Bolton in League One. Of course, the form heading into this one for Bolton, when you look at it, if you take the playoffs out of it, they just picked up 1 win in the final 4 games of the season. That was against Port Vale. So they were draw specialists, and those were against semi-big teams of Portsmouth, Peterborough, and also Shrewsbury in the mix there. Whereas Oxford may have started to kick into gear at the right time of asking. Their only defeat of the last 6 was against Lincoln, when they narrowly lost 1-0 at the Kazam. But they picked up 5-0 wins over Peterborough. Of course, a stubborn draw against Stevenage, a 2-1 win against an Exeter who have found a bit of form, and then a win against Peterborough in the playoffs, followed up by a draw. So, form is with them at the moment. Of course, quick look at the goal scorers as well. Dean Charles rocking 16 goals for the campaign. Adebayo got himself 10 for Bolton. As for on the flip side here, Mark Harris got 15 goals. Brannigan got 13 as well, as they try to see if they can carve up a major surprise. Now, the bookies have this one, 2017 on for Bolton. Overwhelming favourites. 14-5 is your Oxford here for the game itself, and 11-4 to finish at 90 minutes within a tie. It's Ian Evatt in the dugout. Des Buckingham, of course, a bit of a mystery man here. We don't really know too much about him, but has he got it in the tank to cause a bit of a surprise? What about the odds to actually get promoted? We saw the odds for the game itself, but the odds to get promoted, 9-4 on your Bolton, are overwhelming favours here. 7-4 is your Oxford. Now, so far, I think Bolton have read the script nicely. They've come here. They've just narrowly missed out in a very difficult automatic push, of course, behind Derby and Portsmouth in the end. And on paper, they are the third best team, if not the second best team in this league. But are they good enough to get promoted on the final day at Wembley? It's a much easier travel for those Oxford fans, and I think they've been waiting for an occasion just like this to show up in their colourful numbers. Bolton got a little bit further to travel, but realistically, they are expected to come here and dominate. For me, though, I'm going to go against the grain here, against the form book, against the bookies, against pure sanity, and expect a bit of an upset here. I'm going to go with a 2-1 Oxford United shocker to upset Bolton, leave them back in the League One, put the Oxford into the Championship for the first time in a long, long time. I think we don't know too much about this Des Buckingham fellow. I had my reservations about him throughout the regular season. I thought he was going to choke, to be honest with you, but he got here on merit and took out a Peterborough side, who, of course, can be a very tricky wicket. I think Oxford had the more difficult task of getting to this stage. I think Bolton took on a wounded Barnsley, who had no manager, to be fair, and that might go against them in regards to this. So I'm going to back Oxford for a shocker here. I think perhaps an early goal for Oxford. Maybe Bolton will then reiterate, and then it's just a kitchen sink job towards the back end of this game, and Oxford to surprise League One, to surprise the Championship, and make their first appearance in the second tier for a long, long time. Let me know when that. I don't even know when that was. Let me know down below. So 2-1 surprise victory for me. What are your thoughts about this one as we look forward to a cracking final, a good one? And for me, I'm all about the underdog. So come on, Oxford, surprise us all, and we'll see you in the Championship next season. And again, I will have my early door 2024-2025 League One predictions for next season, of course, shortly after the conclusion of this game. So be prepared for that. To see where this loser will be next season. Will they be in the automatics? Will they struggle? Or will they be in the playoffs once again? That's, of course, all to come. But until then, we are done.